She barely heard the laughter before the cafeteria doors slammed shut behind her. The sound sliced through the air like a gunshot, and her heart leapt into her throat. Her hands froze mid-step, backpack slung loosely over one shoulder. The sudden hush in the cafeteria made every breath feel like a scream. She scanned the room, empty tables stretched in every direction, the polished floor gleaming under harsh fluorescent lights. The scent of burnt pizza crust and sour milk lingered like a ghost. Then she saw them. A group of 4 emerged from behind the vending machines, their shadows stretching long and distorted on the floor. Tyler led them, of course, tall, broad-shouldered, eyes like chips of ice. He'd been the ringleader since the first day she arrived, a master at making her life a living hell. The others were loyal foot soldiers: Jenna, the girl with the mocking grin that never reached her eyes; Marcus, who laughed at everything, even when it wasn't funny; and Caleb, quiet but with fists that spoke volumes. Her throat tightened. "Hey, princess," Tyler called, his voice dripping with fake sweetness. He took a step forward, and she could see the flicker of malice behind his grin. She clutched the strap of her backpack like a lifeline. "What do you want?" she asked, the tremor in her voice betraying her. "What do I want?" Tyler echoed, glancing back at his crew with a smirk. He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell the faint scent of cheap cologne mixed with sweat. "I want to know why you think you can just waltz in here and pretend you belong." Her mind raced. She had never provoked them, never tried to stand out. She just wanted to survive until graduation, but that didn't matter to Tyler. He was a predator, and she was easy prey. "I don't want any trouble," she said softly. Jenna barked a laugh. "Too late for that." She popped a piece of gum and snapped it between her teeth. "We've been waiting for this." The words chilled her. She backed up, her shoes squeaking against the floor. "What are you talking about?" Tyler's eyes darkened. "Your dad's the new cop in town, right?" He spit the word like it was poison. "Thinks he can throw his weight around. Thinks he can make us follow his rules." Her stomach dropped. She hadn't told anyone about her dad's job, but Tyler always found a way to know everything. She tried to swallow the panic rising in her throat. "He's just doing his job," she whispered. Tyler's grin widened. "And now it's time to teach you what happens when people mess with us." He lunged. She jerked back, her backpack sliding off her shoulder and hitting the floor with a thud. Books scattered like dead leaves, pages flapping open. She scrambled for footing, but the toe of her shoe caught on the leg of a chair. Her heart stopped as Tyler's hand shot out, fingers curling into a fist. A roar tore through the room, a sound so raw and primal it made everyone freeze. The cafeteria. Doors slammed open with such force they nearly came off the hinges. A man stood there, chest heaving, eyes wild with fury. His uniform shirt was half untucked, sweat dripping down his temple. His badge glinted in the harsh light. "Get away from my daughter!" he snarled, his voice low and dangerous, like the growl of a cornered wolf. Tyler's eyes widened. His smirk vanished. He dropped his hand, his body stiffening as the man advanced. "Dad?" she whispered, tears springing to her eyes. Relief and dread tangled inside her like barbed wire. Her father didn't even glance at her. His gaze was locked on Tyler, his hands clenched into fists. "Touch her again," he said, every word sharp as a blade, "and I will show you what real pain feels like." Jenna's gums snapped in her mouth. Marcus took a step back. Caleb's eyes darted to the door. Tyler swallowed, Adam's apple bobbing. "It was just a joke, man," he muttered. Her father's eyes burned with a fury she had never seen before. "A joke?" He took another step forward, boots thudding against the floor. "You think terrorizing my daughter is funny?" Tyler shifted, his bravado crumbling. You didn't what?" Her father interrupted, his voice rising. "You didn't plan to corner her in here? You didn't plan to hurt her? Because from where I'm standing, that's exactly what you were about to do." Silence pressed down on the room like a vice. Her father's chest heaved, his knuckles white. "Get out! All of you!" Now! For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Jenna grabbed Marcus's arm, dragging him toward the door. Caleb followed, his gaze fixed on the floor. Tyler lingered, his eyes flickering between her and her father. For a moment, she saw a flash of something, fear, regret, before his mask slammed back into place. He turned and stalked out, shoulders rigid. Her father closed the distance between them, his face softening as he looked at her. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice trembling now, the rage replaced by something raw and fragile. She tried to speak, but the words tangled in her throat. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she nodded. He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. "I'm so sorry," he whispered into her hair. "I should have been here sooner." For a long time, she let the tears fall, soaking his shirt. Eventually he pulled back, his hands still on her shoulders. "It's over," he said, his voice steady but his eyes still clouded with worry. She met his gaze, her own eyes red and swollen. "Is it?" she whispered, his jaw tightened. "It's over for now," he admitted, "but we're going to make sure this never happens again." A shiver ran down her spine as she realized the truth. The danger wasn't gone. Tyler's eyes as he left had promised something, a storm gathering on the horizon. Her father's hand tightened on her shoulder, grounding her. "Let's go home," he said, his voice low but resolute. She nodded, feeling a mix of relief and dread. But as they walked toward the door, she glanced back at the cafeteria, a place that had once felt safe, now twisted and broken, and in that moment, she knew this was only the beginning. She felt the echo of Tyler's stare all the way home. Even with her father beside her, his hand on the wheel, she couldn't shake the feeling that a shadow was following them, waiting for its moment to strike. Her father's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. The cruiser's lights washed the road ahead in a harsh glow. Every so often he'd glance at her, eyes softening with guilt before hardening again like steel. "You okay, kiddo?" he asked, his voice gruff. She nodded too quickly, wiping at the tears that wouldn't stop. "Yeah, I'm fine." But she wasn't. The cafeteria's silence still clawed at her insides. Tyler's voice still rang in her head. "Your dad's the new cop in town, right? Thinks he can make us follow his rules." She turned to the window, watching streetlights flicker. "By like dying stars." Her father cleared his throat. "I'll talk to Principal Harris first thing in the morning. Those kids won't get away with this." "Dad, no, listen." His jaw clenched. "I won't let anyone hurt you. Not now, not ever." A silence stretched between them, thick and uncomfortable. She could feel his anger simmering beneath the surface, a volcano waiting to erupt. The cruiser turned onto their street, headlights sweeping over rows of identical houses. Hers was the third one on the right, a modest two-story with peeling paint and a crooked mailbox. Her father parked in the driveway, engine ticking as it cooled. He turned to her, his eyes tired but determined. "I need you to tell me everything. That happened today. Every detail." She hesitated, heart racing. "Dad, it was just—" "Don't say it was nothing." His voice was sharp, but she could hear the fear trembling beneath it. "I need to know what I'm up against." She stared at her lap, fingers twisting together. The cafeteria, the laughter, Tyler's hand reaching for her. It felt like they'd planned it, she whispered, like it wasn't just a random thing. Her father's eyes darkened. "Planned?" She nodded. "Tyler, he said something about you, that you think you can control them, that you'd made enemies." His expression tightened, lines etching deeper into his forehead. "Enemies," he muttered. "Of course." She looked up sharply. "Dad, what does that mean?" He hesitated, then reached across the seat, gripping her hand. "It means," he said carefully, "that I've been working on something at the station. A case. And some people aren't happy about it." Her blood turned to ice. "A case?" "Drugs," he said quietly. A big ring, and Tyler's older brother is mixed up in it. Her stomach dropped. They've been threatening you to get to me, he continued, his voice low and dangerous. But they've made a mistake, because now I know who they are. Her head spun. Tyler's brother, drugs. Everything felt upside. Down, Dad, she whispered. What if they come back? His jaw tightened. Then they'll have to go through me. He squeezed her hand once, then released it and opened his door. Come on, let's get inside. She followed him up the cracked walkway, the night air cool against her skin. As he unlocked the front door, she glanced behind her. The street was empty, but the darkness felt alive, watching. Inside, the house smelled like coffee and old wood. The kitchen table was covered in papers, her dad's case files. Sit, he said, gesturing to the table. She sank into a chair, fingers trembling. Her father sat across from her, the overhead light casting deep shadows on his face. We're not going to let them win, he said firmly. But you need to be honest with me. Is there anything else you haven't told me? She shook her head. No, that's everything. He studied her face, eyes searching for cracks in her story. Finally, he nodded. Good, he said, his voice a low rumble. Because from now on, we're a team. You and me. No secrets. She tried to smile, but it felt brittle. Her father leaned back, his gaze shifting to the papers on the table. Tyler's brother. Derek, he's been on our radar for months. Small-time dealer, but connected to bigger players. Connected how? She asked, the question escaping before she could stop it. Her father's eyes darkened. He's a runner for one of the local gangs. Supplies pills, weed, sometimes worse. And he's protected. Protected? Yeah, he said grimly. Someone's paying off the right people. Teachers, maybe even other cops. Her heart pounded. So Tyler's bullying me. It's not just because he's mean? No. Her father said, his voice like a blade. It's because they're scared. Scared that I'll bring them down. And you... His voice broke for a second. You're the easiest way to get to me. She looked down at her hands, the truth sinking in like a stone. A sudden sound made her jump, a soft knock at the front door. Her father's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing. He stood, every muscle tense. Stay here, he ordered, his voice low and dangerous. She watched him cross the room, his hand hovering near his holster. He peered through the peephole, then pulled the door open just a crack. A woman stood on the porch, her face half hidden in the shadows, long brown hair, eyes darting nervously. Officer Miller, she asked, her voice trembling. Her father stiffened. Who are you? My name is Lisa, she said quickly. I need to talk to you. It's about your daughter. Her heart stopped. Her father's hand tightened on the door. What about my daughter? Lisa glanced over her shoulder, fear etched into every line of her face. Please, she whispered, they're planning something. You have to listen. To me? Her father hesitated, then opened the door wider. Come in, he said, stepping aside. Lisa darted inside, eyes wide as she scanned the room. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Sit, her father said, gesturing to the couch. Start talking. Lisa collapsed onto the cushions, her hands shaking. It's Tyler, she said, voice trembling, and Derek. They've got people watching you, watching her. Her breath caught in her throat. Lisa's eyes darted to her. They're going to hurt her. They think it's the only way to stop you. Her father's face went pale. When? He demanded. Lisa shook her head. I don't know, but soon. Derek's getting desperate. He's in too deep, and he thinks you're going to bring him down. Her father's hand flexed. Then we need to move fast. Lisa leaned forward, eyes pleading. You have to protect her. They don't care who they hurt. They'll do anything. The room felt too small, the air too thin. Her father stood, his face a mask of fury and fear. Thank you, Lisa. We'll handle it. Lisa nodded, tears welling in her eyes. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't know who else to go to. It's okay, her father said gently, his voice softening. You did the right thing. Lisa stood, her hands wringing together. "Be careful," she said, then slipped out the door, disappearing into the night. Her father turned to her, his eyes blazing. "Listen to me," he said, his voice trembling with urgency. "From now on, you don't go anywhere alone. Not to school, not to the store, nowhere. Do you understand?" She nodded, her own fear rising like a tide. He closed the distance between them, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I won't let them hurt you," he whispered. "I swear it." But as she clung to him, she couldn't help but think of Tyler's cold eyes and Derek's shadowy influence. She knew deep down that her father's promise would be tested, and soon. She barely slept that night. Every creak of the old house felt like a footstep on the stairs. Every gust of wind rattling the windows sounded like a fist pounding on the glass. She lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word Lisa had said. They're planning something. The thought twisted. In her gut, a constant ache. She could hear her father moving downstairs, his boots pacing from the kitchen to the living room, back and forth like a metronome. At one point, she thought she heard him talking, his voice low and urgent. She crept out of bed, easing open her door just enough to see him on the phone, hand clamped tight over the receiver. "No, Harris, I need more than a patrol car circling the block. I need names, I need addresses, and I need them tonight." A pause, then, "No, I don't give a damn about the politics. My daughter's life is on the line." She ducked back into her room before he could see her, heart hammering. Her father's voice, usually so steady, had an edge she'd never heard before. A raw, desperate note that made her stomach twist. How bad is this, really? She wished she could talk to her mum, but Mum was gone. Left them years ago with only a faded photograph and a broken promise. Her father had never talked about it much, and she'd learned not to ask. Now she felt the old ache in her chest. Why can't Mum be here now? She must have dozed off, because the next thing she knew, it was morning. Her father was at her door, a steaming mug of coffee in one hand. "Hey, sleepyhead," he said, his voice softer than it had been the night before. "Time to get up." She rubbed her eyes. "Are we going to school?" His jaw tightened. "Yeah, but I'm driving you, and I'm staying close. Harris has promised extra patrols, but I'm not taking any chances." She nodded, trying to hide her fear. "Okay." Downstairs, he handed her a piece of toast and a banana. She tried to eat, but every bite felt like cardboard. "Dad," she said finally, "what if they come after you too?" His eyes softened, and for a moment, and he reached across the table to squeeze her hand. "Then they'll have to get through me first." A chill ran through her. On the way to school, the silence between them was heavy. Her father's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror every few seconds, scanning the street for anything suspicious. When they pulled into the parking lot, he turned off the engine but didn't move. "Listen to me," he said, his voice low. "If anything happens today that feels wrong, you call me. I don't care if it's a funny look, a weird text, anything, understand?" She nodded, throat tight. "Yeah, Dad, I promise." "Good." He gave her a tight smile. "You've got this, kiddo." She stepped out of the car, backpack slung over her shoulder. She could feel his eyes on her as she crossed the lot. Inside, the school felt different. The halls were quieter than usual, like everyone was holding their breath. She caught sight of Tyler by the lockers, his grin sharp and cruel. "Hey," he called, his voice low and mocking. "Your daddy still think he's a hero?" She tried to ignore him, but he stepped in front of her, blocking her way. His breath smelled like cheap cologne and cigarettes. "He can't protect you forever, you know," Tyler sneered. "Sooner or later he's gonna slip, and when he does..." His eyes glittered. A teacher's voice cut through the air. "Tyler, leave her alone, now." Mr. Bryant, the math teacher, was standing a few feet away, arms crossed. Tyler gave her a slow, cold smile before backing off. "Whatever you say, Mr. B," he said, his tone dripping with fake innocence. She hurried to class, heart pounding. Day crawled by in a haze of whispered threats and sidelong glances. Every time the door opened, she jumped. Every time her phone buzzed, her stomach lurched. At lunch, she sat alone at the edge of the cafeteria, picking at her food. Her dad's words echoed in her mind. "Call me if anything happens." She wished she could, but what would she say? "Dad, I'm scared, Dad. I think they're watching me." She glanced around. Tyler was across the room, deep in conversation with a group of guys she didn't recognize. One of them looked older, college age maybe. He had a tattoo on his neck and a hard, dead look in his eyes. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Better watch your back, princess. Daddy can't save you forever." Her hands shook. She stood, phone clutched tight. She pushed through the cafeteria doors, her feet carrying her to the main office almost on instinct. Mr. Harris, the principal, looked up in surprise. "Everything okay?" She held up her phone. I got this." "Text." He took the phone, his brow furrowing. "I'll report this right away," but something in his voice made her stomach clench. Do you know who sent it?" she asked, her voice trembling. He hesitated, then handed the phone back. "We'll look into it. Go on back to class. I'll take care of this." She stared at him, her fear growing. Back in the hallway, her phone buzzed again. "Harris can't help you. He's one of us." Her breath caught in her throat. She spun around, scanning the hallway. Mr. Harris was nowhere in sight. Her father's words echoed in her mind. "Don't trust anyone." She turned and ran, heading for the front doors. Her father was out there somewhere. He'd know what to do, but as she reached the doors, a hand grabbed her arm. She spun around, heart racing. It was Lisa. Her eyes were wild, her hair tangled. "They're here," she gasped. "Derek's guys. They're watching everything." A cold dread settled in her stomach. "What do we do?" Lisa's grip tightened. "You need to get out now. Go find your father. He's the only one who can protect you." But Lisa's eyes darted around, panic in every line of her face. "Go! Now!" She turned and bolted, the hallway a blur of colors and sounds. Behind her she heard footsteps, heavy, determined. She burst through the front doors, the sunlight blinding. Her father's cruiser was nowhere in sight. "Where is he?" She pulled out her phone, dialing his number with trembling fingers. Voicemail. "Dad, it's me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I'm scared. Please come get me." She ended the call, heart hammering. A black SUV pulled up to the curb, tinted windows rolling down. Tyler's brother Derek leaned out, his grin cold and mean. "Need a ride, sweetheart?" She stumbled back, panic clawing at her throat. But before she could run, the passenger door opened, and two men in dark hoodies jumped out, grabbing her arms. She screamed, the world blurred, her feet leaving the ground. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. "I won't let them hurt you." But as the SUV doors slammed shut and the car roared away, she wondered if even he could keep that promise. Darkness pressed in as the SUV tore down the highway, the rumble of the tires humming like a threat beneath her feet. Her wrists were bound with rough zip ties that bit into her skin every time she shifted. Her phone was gone, snatched from her hand before she could even think to fight back. In the back seat, the smell of cheap cologne and cigarettes clung to the air like a second skin. She struggled to focus, to slow her breathing, but panic clawed at her throat. Tyler's brother Derek sat beside her, his gaze hard and cold. "Relax, princess. Nobody's gonna hurt you, unless you make it necessary." She wanted to scream, to fight, but she was too terrified. Her dad's voice echoed. In her mind, be strong, think, look for an opening. Derek leaned back, a smirk playing at his lips. "Your dad's a real pain in the ass, you know that? He's been sticking his nose where it doesn't belong for years." She swallowed. "Please, just let me go. I won't say anything, I swear." He laughed, the sound sharp and humorless. "Yeah, sure, like we'd believe that." The driver, a man with a shaved head and a scar running down his cheek, glanced in the rearview mirror. "We heading straight to the warehouse?" Derek nodded. Yeah, let's make this quick. Her old man's gonna be looking for her, and we don't need the heat. Warehouse. The word sank like a stone in her chest. The car took a sharp turn, off the main road, bumping along a dirt path flanked by tall, ragged trees. The sun was setting, casting long shadows that looked like reaching hands. Her heart pounded. Dad, please find me. They pulled up to a corrugated steel building with boarded-up windows and a single door hanging crooked on its hinges. Derek grabbed her arm, dragging her out of the car. She stumbled, nearly falling on the uneven ground. "Move!" he barked, shoving her toward the door. Inside, the air smelled of oil and old machinery. Rusted tools littered the floor, and a single bare bulb swung overhead, casting shifting shadows. A tall man stepped out of the darkness, his face partially hidden by a hood. His voice was low and controlled. "This her?" "Yeah," Derek said. "And told you she'd be easy to grab." The hooded man turned toward her, his eyes cold and empty. "You're gonna be our ticket to shutting your daddy up for good." Terror clawed at her throat. "What do you mean?" The man ignored her, turning to Derek. "Make sure she doesn't try anything." Derek smirked. "Don't worry, she's not going anywhere." They tied her to a metal chair, the ropes tight and unyielding. Every movement made her wrists burn. She could barely breathe through the panic. The hooded man circled her like a vulture. "Your father's been causing us problems for too long, meddling in things he shouldn't. He thinks he can save everyone." She shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "Please, don't hurt him. I'll do whatever you want." The man's laugh was like ice. "You think this is about you? This is about sending a message. You're just the delivery girl." She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Suddenly the door banged open. A figure burst in, gun drawn, eyes blazing. Her father. "Get away from her," he growled, voice low and deadly. For a second everything froze. Derek reached for his waistband, but her dad was faster. A single gunshot cracked the air. Derek dropped like a puppet with its strings cut, his eyes wide in shock. The hooded man lunged at her dad, but he moved like a predator, twisting and firing. The man went down with a guttural cry, clutching his chest. She stared, unable to process the chaos around her, her father's eyes locked on hers. "Are you okay?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Dad." He crossed the room in 3 strides, his hands working quickly to cut the ropes that bound her. His fingers trembled as he worked. "I'm so sorry, baby. I never should have let this happen." She collapsed against him, sobs racking her body. He held her tight, his arms like steel. More footsteps thundered outside. Her father pulled back, eyes sharp. "We're not out of this yet. Stay behind me." He pushed her gently behind a stack of crates just as the door flew open again. 3 more men rushed in, guns raised. "Drop it!" one of them shouted. Her father raised his weapon but didn't fire. "I don't want to hurt you. Let us go, and nobody else needs to get hurt." The man laughed, a harsh sound. "You think we're just going to let you walk out of here?" The world seemed to shrink to a pinpoint. Her father's hand tightened on his gun. "I'm not asking." A single shot rang out. One of the men crumpled, his gun skittering across the floor. The second man fired, the bullet slamming into a crate inches from her head. She screamed, covering her ears. Her father moved like lightning, returning fire. Another man fell. The third man ducked behind a pillar, returning fire. Sparks flew. Her father motioned for her to crawl toward the door. "Go, now!" She scrambled on hands and knees, her breath ragged. Behind her, she heard her father shouting, his voice fierce and unyielding. Then another shot. Silence. She turned, her heart stopping. Her father stood over the last man, breathing hard, his gun still raised. Then he staggered, blood spreading across his side. "Dad!" she screamed. He dropped to his knees, his face pale. "Go! Get help!" "No, I'm not leaving you." But his eyes were already glazing over. "I love you, baby girl. I always have." Tears streamed down her face as he fell to the ground. She reached for him, but his hand was already cold. A scream built in her chest, raw and endless. Then, from the doorway, a voice, cold as steel. "You should have stayed home, princess." She turned, eyes wide, and saw Tyler, gun in hand, smiling like the devil himself. Tyler's smile was as cold and sharp as the gun in his hand. He stood in the doorway, blocking any escape, his eyes glittering with triumph. "Hello, princess," he drawled, stepping over the bodies as if they were nothing more than spilled paint. She couldn't move, couldn't think. Her father's lifeless body lay at her feet, his blood soaking into the dusty warehouse floor. Every inch of her screamed to run, but her legs felt like iron. Tyler tilted his head, studying her. "Oh, don't cry now. You should have known your daddy couldn't protect you forever." Her breath came in ragged gasps. "Why, Tyler? Why are you doing this?" He let out a soft laugh, cold as the wind. "Why? Because your dad took everything from me. My father's business, his life. You think he's some hero, but he was a snake, just like the rest of them." She shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "No, my dad he was trying to help people. You know that's not true." Tyler's face hardened. "Your dad was the reason mine is in the ground." He stepped closer, his gun never wavering. "So now you're gonna watch your world burn, just like mine did." Flinched. The fury in his eyes was bottomless, a black hole that threatened to swallow her whole. "Tyler, please don't do this," she begged. He smiled, the look of a predator toying with its prey. "Begging. That's sweet." He lowered the gun. A fraction, just enough to make her think she had a chance. But it's too late for that now. A noise behind him, a faint shuffle. He stiffened, turning his head just enough for her to see the doorway again. Through her tears, she saw a shadow move. Someone else was here. Tyler's head snapped back toward her. "Don't think I won't do it," he snarled, pressing the barrel of the gun against her forehead. "Say goodbye." A single shot cracked the air, echoing off the warehouse walls. Tyler's eyes widened in shock, his mouth opening in a silent scream. He staggered, dropping the gun. Blood blossomed. On his chest, he crumpled to the ground. She stared, too stunned to scream. Then the shadow stepped forward into the dim light. A woman. Her face streaked with dirt, her hair wild, eyes blazing. "Are you okay?" the woman asked, her voice trembling with adrenaline. Who are you?" she gasped. The woman let out a shaky breath. Call me Jordan. I've been looking for you. Your father, he called me before he came here. He said if anything happened to him, to find you." Her mind reeled. "You knew my dad?" Jordan nodded. "He and I go way back. He saved my life once, and I owed him. When he found out Tyler's family was coming for you, he asked me to watch your back." Tears blurred her vision again. He's gone." Jordan's jaw clenched. "I know, but you're not, and we're getting you out of here." Gunfire erupted outside the warehouse, the sharp crack of automatic weapons. Jordan grabbed her arm. "They're not done yet. We have to move." She hesitated, looking back at her father's body. I can't just leave him." Jordan's eyes softened, but her voice was firm. "He'd want you alive. We can come back, but right now we run." She nodded, swallowing her grief. Jordan led her through the back door, down a narrow alley littered with broken glass and garbage. The sounds of chaos followed them, shouting, sirens in the distance. They ducked into an abandoned shop, the shelves stripped bare. Jordan peered through the dirty window. "They're gonna come looking. We need to split up." Panic flared in her chest. "No, please, don't leave me." Jordan put a hand on her shoulder. "Listen to me. You're stronger than you know. There's a safe house a few miles from here. Take this." She shoved a small piece of paper into her hand. "It's the address. I'll draw them. Off, buy you some time." Tears blurred her vision. "But," Jordan squeezed her shoulder, "your dad loved you more than anything. He gave everything to protect you. Don't let that be in vain." Jordan slipped out the back door before She could say another word. Left alone, the paper trembling in her hand, she sank to the ground. The weight of everything crashed over her, her father's death, Tyler's betrayal, the blood that now stained her soul. A single sob tore from her throat. I'm not strong enough, she thought. I can't do this alone. But then, her father's voice echoed in her mind, strong and steady. You're stronger than you think. Always have been. She wiped her tears, her jaw setting. She looked at the paper, memorizing the address. I'll finish what you started, Dad. I'll bring them all down. With that, she stood, her heart hammering with newfound determination. Outside, the world still burned, but inside her, a fire had been lit that nothing could extinguish. The safe house was an old brick building tucked behind a line of abandoned warehouses. Faded paint peeled from its door, and a rusted sign above it read, Parker's Auto. She hesitated in the shadows, every nerve on edge. She couldn't shake the echo of gunshots or the image of her father's lifeless eyes. His last words, I love you, baby girl, pushed her forward. The sun had barely risen, casting a bruised orange glow over the cracked concrete. Every sound, birds calling, leaves rustling, felt amplified. She checked the paper Jordan had given her. The address matched. With a deep breath, she pushed the door open. Inside, the smell of old oil and dust clung to the air. A single bulb hung from the ceiling, its light flickering like a dying star. Hello? She called, her voice small in the cavernous space. A figure emerged from the shadows. Older, with silver hair and a deep scar across his cheek, he regarded her with sharp eyes. You're her, he said in a gravelly voice. You're his daughter. She nodded. My dad, he didn't make it. The man's expression softened. I know, Jordan called ahead. Tears burned her eyes. Why are they after me? Why did Tyler? The man sighed, sitting on a crate. Your dad was investigating Tyler's family. Money laundering, arms deals, human trafficking. He was close to shutting them down for good. Tyler's father was the big boss, but after he died, Tyler stepped in, even meaner than the old man. She clenched her fists. Tyler said my dad was the reason his father died. The man shook his head. No, his old man got greedy. He double-crossed his own partners, and it got him killed. Your dad tried to protect him once. Stupid move, but it was too late. She felt like the ground had been ripped out from under her. So, all this was for nothing? He met her gaze. No. It's all the more reason to finish what your dad started. She swallowed hard. But I'm just a kid, I don't know how. He stood, his eyes fierce. Your father taught you to think, to fight, to survive. That's all you need right now. He handed her a small black case. Inside is everything your dad collected, evidence, names, accounts. It's enough to burn the whole operation. To the ground. Her hands trembled as she took it. But they'll come after me. He nodded. That's why I'm going with you. We'll go to the FBI together. I've got contacts. We'll make sure this ends here. Before she could respond, the sound of tires crunching on gravel split the air. Headlights swept across the broken windows. The man cursed. They're here! Gunfire shattered the glass. Bullets ricocheted off metal. She ducked behind a crate as the man returned fire. Her heart thundered. She peered around the corner, spotting Tyler's men fanning out. She knew this was her chance to end it, once and for all. Gripping the black case tight, she crawled toward the back exit. She could hear the man shouting, exchanging fire. Then, a shadow loomed in front of her. Tyler. He looked battered, his arm in a makeshift sling, his face bruised and bloodied. But his eyes burned with rage. "Hello, princess," he sneered. "Thought you could hide from me?" She glared at him, every ounce of fear replaced by steel. "You killed my dad. I won't let you hurt anyone else." He laughed, the sound harsh and bitter. "Your dad was weak. He should have stayed out of it." He raised his gun, the barrel aimed at her heart. "Guess I'll have to finish what I started." Time slowed. Every second felt like a lifetime. Then a gunshot. Tyler's eyes widened in shock. Blood blossomed on his shirt. He staggered, his gun dropping from his hand. She turned. The older man stood in the shadows, gun smoking. "I told your dad I'd protect you. I keep my promises." Tyler crumpled to the ground, his last breath a ragged sigh. Silence fell. She dropped the case, tears streaming down her face. "It's over," she whispered. The older man walked to her, his hand firm on her shoulder. "No, kid, it's just beginning. You got a world to rebuild, a world your father believed in. And now it's your fight too." She wiped her tears, determination blazing in her eyes. "Then let's finish it." They left the warehouse together, the morning sun breaking through the clouds. She held her father's memory close, his strength, his love, his unbreakable will. In the end, she'd learned that sometimes losing everything was the only way to find who you really are. And she was ready. The end.